I was talking fantasy football with my friends the other day.
Alan Bravo.
Echo.
November.
Tango.
On.
Football.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Bent on Fantasy Football. We're here in the dungeon. Joshua Worley here with me.
Hey, everybody, how are you?
Hey, Josh, did you set your lineup this week?
I did, Alan.
Thank you.
Okay, you're
All right.
welcome. I still lost in both leagues, but I did set my lineup.
All right,
so.
fair enough. Well, we got a ton of things to cover this week. Let's start first by, as we always do, Josh, what kind of beer you got?
The beer that I have, and I'm a little sour about this, 16 to 16 is the name of my beer.
Why do you have 16 to 16 beer? That's the cheap stuff.
That's the score of the Detroit Lions and the Pittsburgh Steelers game. I am so sick of this. And these NFL overtime rules. I hate seeing the ties. You don't have ties in football.
All right, so apparently something's got you bent this week.
That's not what's got me bent. But what kind of beer do you have?
I have the Bears didn't lose last week beer.
Hey, that's a great day when the Bears don't lose.
You know what this means? That means that the Bears, since they did not lose last week, they are no longer on a losing streak.
So they can start a new one this weekend.
Stop now. Stop yourself. All right. Well,
so let's cheers to that.
Let's do that. So you guys join us. Pop open a cold one. Sit back and enjoy the show. All right. Man, that hits the spot.
Oh, it does. It does.
All right, so we want to talk about what's got us spent. Josh, what's got us spent? Because we have the same thing.
We do have the same thing, and I don't know if you guys have been following the news a lot lately about John Gruden. Yes, he resigned after the racist, misogynist, homophobic emails were released. Now, what was released was only 10 emails out of 650,000 that the NFL took in their investigation. Now, Gruden hired an attorney recently, and he is suing the NFL for defamation. And one of the claims in his suit is that he was singled out, and he wants them to release all those 649,000 or 650,000 other emails. So he's not the only one. So he's basically trying to take the NFL down with them. So while Gruden is at fault, yes, I think the NFL needs to release those emails. That's my opinion. I don't know what they're hiding. I think they're hiding this culture in the NFL that they don't want they don't want exposed. So what do you think about that?
I think they should, absolutely. I think so, but I will say this, Gruden, you were singled out. The reason you were singled out is because you were the only one that they found so far that had anything bad going on. So yeah, you were singled out, but I guess it kind of paid off, though, didn't it?
Yeah, that's like saying, yes, I'm a bad guy, but there's other bad guys out there, too. Let's go find them, you know?
Right. You know what? I'm going to wait here while you guys go find the other bad guys, and, we'll take care of everybody all at once. Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. Gruden, you're trying to take, I don't know if you're trying to save face or if you're, I don't know what your motive is.
I think it's far too late for that. His career is done, whether it be broadcasting, coaching.
And
he'll never work again in that field.
This may be a last-ditch effort, knowing that, too. I don't know. But, and who am I to overanalyze anyway? Because I really don't care for John Gruden anymore. I
hate him.
I used to like him a lot, but over the last probably 5, 6, maybe even 7 years, he's been horrible and absolutely getting worse every year. So this is just the icing on the cake for me. I'm done with Gruden. In fact, if we don't mention Gruden, or actually I got a couple other people we'll talk about too. But if I don't mention Gruden on the show anymore, then I'm okay with that.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
So, anyway,
unless he does something else stupid, maybe we'll talk. Maybe we'll get bent on that in a week or two.
yeah, maybe. But he's just basically, what do they call it?
Loser.
That's
a loser.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Kind of like we both were in both of our leagues this week.
Totally different.
Although not to the extent that Gruden was.
Totally different thing, though. All right, so yeah, that's what's got us bent this week. Why don't you guys tell us what's got you bent this week? Put it in our comments down there, and we'll talk about it on one of the shows. Moving on to some news. We have a lot of weird stuff going on in the NFL over the last couple weeks, as far as people coming and going. Some of the things that they're kind of big on the news right now. I guess for starters, Cam Newton coming back to the Panthers, and everybody says it's going to be a huge push for the Panthers. What do you think, Josh?
You know what? I'm kind of torn on that. There's a reason they released him 2 years ago. You know, they weren't confident in his abilities as a leader. You know, to guide that team. However, he still got something left in the tank. He led the Patriots in rushing touchdowns last year. I think he had 12.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think he can still provide something on the ground, but I think it's almost like a last-ditch effort. And if you guys out there who watch TikTok, I don't know if you've seen any of these videos, the fan reaction videos, they are hilarious. So they're mixed. Some people hate it, and some people love it that Cam Newton's back, but they're pretty funny. So go on TikTok, go on YouTube, and search for Cam Newton fan reaction videos. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I did not know that. I am going to check that out.
Yes.
What I would say about this is the only thing that I really see that's going to be huge. And yeah, there was some rushing touchdowns, and he might get a few of those as well. But it's going to be a big plus for Christian McCaffrey.
I hope so.
The reason I say that is because Christian McCaffrey largely has been out of the offense for the last 2 seasons, this year and last year. So he would never even have a chance to mesh with Sam Darnold at all.
Yeah, because Sam Darnold can't run. Kyle Allen couldn't run.
Well, and pretty much the entire time almost the entire time that Darnold's been the quarterback of that team, McCaffrey's been on the bench. So there's no opportunity for them to ever build any chemistry. It's going to be like a fresh start with Newton and McCaffrey again. So I see a lot of dump-off passes. I see a lot of Christian McCaffrey, even maybe back like he did a few years ago.
Not to mention less stacked boxes. That's what a lot of that really contributed to his injuries. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you don't have any other running threats, you got 8 in the box and 9 in the box, and
you don't have many places to go, and wherever they are, there's a big guy standing there waiting for you.
He's taking some hits, so yeah.
Definitely not ideal. But yeah, I think that's going to give McCaffrey an instant boost. I think overall, Carolina is not mathematically out of it at this point, so it may give the team a boost too. I just don't know if it's going to be enough to get them through the rest of the season and into the playoffs. It'll be a hard one to say.
We'll see. I mean, their offense has not looked good, although they did against my Cardinals, but without Kyler Murray, by the way. But yeah, Carolina's a weird team to read. They come out strong one week and then they just disappear, for a week or two at a time, and who knows? Yeah,
from a fantasy perspective, we need some consistent points coming out of Carolina. The more consistent points we have coming, not just from McCaffrey, but from McCaffrey being, or everybody else being a byproduct of what McCaffrey does. So your receivers benefit from it. Your quarterback benefits from it. So that's what we really need to see out of Carolina to make that a really other than McCaffrey a point getter for fantasy.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I sat McCaffrey last week. Now, granted, he scored 25 points, but I wasn't sure how that chemistry...
I didn't sit him.
He didn't sit him, but I like to make those more risky start sits. So
I had him in my lineup,
and most of them make me look stupid, but DK made me look like a genius on my sit this week, last week. But Cam's Christian McCaffrey's first full game back. I wasn't sure how that chemistry was going to add up. Yes, PJ Tucker was going to be the starter, but Cam was going to play at some point. Mm-hmm. He did get a rushing touchdown, by the way, man. Mm-hmm. What the heck? And even so, Christian McCaffrey had a big game, so he might be the new matchup-proof, system-proof player that we thought Allen Robinson was.
So, yeah, maybe. So, kind of moving on with the next person I want to talk about is, we talked about Cam Newton coming in. Let's talk about who's going out.
Okay.
Le'Veon Bell. They actually said goodbye to Le'Veon Bell this week. How do you feel about that, Josh?
He was more of just a filler. This was expected, in my opinion. I expected this once Latavius came back. Latavius is going to be the bell cow. A lot of people thought, well, Devontae Freeman is in his absence. But Latavius, it's his job, and now that he's healthy, I wasn't surprised that they let Le'Veon Bell go. Like I said, he was just a filler. He has a couple touchdowns, yes, but He was nothing more than a substitute while Murray was out, and that's it.
Yeah, and Latavius Murray was back at practice today, just FYI.
Well, they're saying he probably should play this weekend,
Right,
so
right.
I'm hoping he
Exactly.
will.
Yep. So, kind of keep an eye on that. The whole Ravens offense is kind of volatile. I mean, I had a bad week out of Jackson this last week. Murray's going to be a hit and miss until they can, figure out that offense.
We might need to go watch some of their practices, because are they practicing full without pads or something, like full contact? Because everybody's getting injured, it seems, this year in practice, out for the year.
And what was going on with Baltimore, too? They couldn't hold on to the ball Thursday night. It seemed like every time I looked up, the ball was on the ground, and they were scrambling for it. And it was them that dropped it.
Yeah. Miami really used those zero blitz packages. They really kind of figured them out. Now, I expect Baltimore to adjust to that. Now, as much as I want to see the Bears win, I think Baltimore will adjust for that.
Well, that's the big thing too. That what Miami did is they showed zero blitz. Zero blitz many times, and they dropped back 2 or they dropped back 3. And Jackson wasn't sure who they would drop back. The offensive line had no idea who was going to cover who or who's going to block who, and they wound up double teaming one person, and then somebody else is running free. So
right.
They're not going to see that against the Bears, though.
No.
The Bears are pretty much a straight defense. They have a lot of variation to what they run, but it's nothing as complex as what Jackson faced last week.
They better not play man coverage. That's all I got. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. No,
but I wouldn't expect anything less. So, but we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah. So, anyway, Le'Veon Bell out the door, and all I can say about that is
Bye bye.
Won't miss you. Anyway, moving on. Elijah Mitchell. He broke his finger in practice, or was it practice, or was it the game? I'm not sure.
I think it was in practice, actually.
I thought it was, but I wasn't 100% sure.
I'm not 100% sure on that either, but I think that's the case.
Okay.
So,
yeah. So he's got a broken finger. They're still talking about he might play. The coaching staff sounds optimistic about it, but realistically, they're talking about he might have to have a pin put in his finger. So make plans. If you have him, make sure that you have a backup plan, because that may go south before it goes north.
And a finger is a really sketchy injury, too, because you never know if he's got to get his fingers taped, that may affect how he holds the ball.
Or
and
catches.
Yeah, or catches out of the backfield.
Yep.
But yeah, Jeff Wilson, there's a reason he was picked up recently, too. So,
yeah. So have a backup plan in place if you've got Mitchell.
Yeah, in fact, I don't like him this week. You have him as your starter, don't you? Or do you not? Oh, no, you had him sitting last week. My bad.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I didn't give you my start him and sit him yet.
You didn't. That's right.
Yeah. So
trying to.
I'm holding out. See, last week I held out, and I found out Christian McCaffrey was going to be playing, and I plugged him in. That's when I did.
I plugged him in too, but I didn't think you would have a huge game.
On the website, on my start him and sit him, I plugged him in there. So I got that one right. Oh yeah.
And I got it wrong, big time. So, but that's okay.
But yeah, anyway, so moving on, Lamar Jackson sent home from practice today with a illness. Now, it's not COVID related, is what the team is saying. But just so you know, he's on his way home or off the field anyway, and supposed to get better and then come back. So there doesn't look like there's any chance of him not playing this weekend.
And he's been on the injury report every single week this year, all 11 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's no surprise. And this happens to him quite often, a couple times a year, where he'll go home, get sent home a day or two from practices for an illness, and he still plays every week. So
no threat there, but just something you got to keep an eye on over the week. Another thing I wanted to talk about, Josh, is this last week there was a lot of blowout games.
And my God, it was ridiculous.
There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There was 6 blowout games between Sunday and Monday.
And we were watching the games together, and I think the 2 games that were on, they switched over both games. We had the Atlanta Dallas. And then what was on the other TV? Was it New England? I think it was New England Cleveland, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah. So both games were blowouts. Now by blowouts, we're talking 3 touchdowns or more. So the 2 games that we had scheduled in our area, by the time late third quarter came around, they had switched over to other games because what was the term they used? We're going to switch you over to a more competitive
game. Yeah.
A more competitive
Yeah,
game.
Yeah. It's interesting. We want to kind of talk about that from a fantasy perspective too. So with that in mind, here's what some of the all the blowout games were. The 49ers 31, the Rams 10. Dallas 43, Atlanta 3. New England 45, Cleveland 7. Buffalo 45, the Jets 17. Carolina 34, Arizona 10. Kansas City 41, and the Raiders 14. So huge blowouts there this last week. Now
I don't remember us seeing a week like that, and that I can recollect at least. So
yeah, not recent memory
No.
anyway. So with that in mind, we were talking, as the games were going on, we were talking about how that affects fantasy from a fantasy perspective, right? So it's either a boom or a bust with your team.
yeah,
You may get lucky and have a few players on each of those teams, but it was so dramatic differences. You look at my scores and you look at some of the scores on other people in the league. It was boom or bust all the way through.
And the thing that really surprised me, that 45-7 game in Cleveland, even though Mac Jones threw for 3 touchdowns, he didn't even hit 200 yards. You know what I mean? Yes, Ramondre Stevenson got 100 yards. He didn't score. The only player out of Dallas to have a decent game was, I guess Zeke had a couple of rushing touchdowns. But still, he didn't have many yards, was CeeDee Lamb. So, I would guess that at least two or three players in those games had big games, and for a majority of them, it wasn't that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and some of these are kind of shockers to me too. Like we were talking about before the show started, I didn't expect Cleveland to lose to New England, let alone by more than 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I thought Cleveland would win that game. They were a 2.5-point underdog going into that, but I thought at home they would be able to shut them down, and it was the complete opposite.
Yeah, 37-point difference.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it was kind of interesting, when we were talking about it, how the differences come in as far as like your boom or bust teams. So, really, it's one of those things. If you get lucky and get 2 or 3 players on one team and they blow it out, that's great. But yeah, unless you're in a big play league like I am.
Yeah. And we were both excited when we found out that Dallas and Atlanta was going to be one of the earlier games we got in our market. We were pumped because we thought that game was going to be a big shootout. In fact, we picked that over 54.5 last week in one of our bet predictions. Now, I thought they would score a lot, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Dallas did. They scored 43. Atlanta put up 3 points.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
Yeah, I feel really bad for Atlanta right now.
Yeah. In fact, before halftime, we were already bored of that game. We're like, this is ridiculous.
It's almost as bad as being a Bear fan.
I know.
Almost.
Well, I have been a Cardinal fan for many years, so
True.
I know how it feels.
Yeah. All right. Well, so we went through the scores. We do want to take a run through my lineup of my other league, and I want you guys to give us some feedback on my league and what I should do with it. And
can I bring up something real quick before we do that?
Go ahead.
We picked Detroit as one of our bet predictions last week to win outright against Pittsburgh as a 9.5-point underdog. Now, they didn't win, and that's one of the things that really pissed me off, more so than Alan, I think. But Detroit is not going winless this year, so we didn't lose that bet prediction. It's a push.
Yeah.
But we will not see an 0-17 team this year, so that's big news, I think, in the world of fantasy football.
I'm a little disappointed in a way, though, because, Detroit could have made history.
They could have, and you know what? Even if we would have lost our bet prediction, I would have been okay with that, as long as there's a freaking winner in the game.
Yeah, this kissing your sister tie stuff is terrible. No,
yeah.
That's another thing that actually really had us both bent, though. But in that game, it was so funny because as we're watching this game, we're noticing that neither team wanted to win.
Oh God, they kept turning it over
and fumbling and
that play at the end where Pittsburgh
getting sacked.
Yeah, Pittsburgh had the game won if Freiermuth wouldn't have fumbled, and we both looked at each other and said, "What the F is going on?" Because we knew with 10 seconds left, Detroit deep in their own territory, they're going to kneel on it. They're not going to. So
Yeah, it was absolutely atrocious at best.
Yes.
I think at one point Josh said, "This is terrible," and I said it would have to improve to be terrible.
Yes. It literally was that bad. So.
Yeah. So anyhow, want to move on?
I'm over it, so let's move on.
All right. So we do want to talk about my league or my team, I guess, a little bit more. And like I said, I'm not going to so much talk about what I'm going to do with the team this year as I want your input on it. Now, to give you a little insight, I'm 4-6 on this league, and it's not going to refresh. Awesome. There it goes. So I'm 4-6 on this league. I've just got Russell Wilson back. I just got McCaffrey back into my lineup. McCaffrey did fine. Russell Wilson didn't. So I've also got DK Metcalf. So it kind of, and I know, quarterback, wide receiver. I said it myself, but I had to go with them coming off a bye. I had to start both of them.
I don't blame you. I actually like that.
I didn't draft that way. I ended up that way. I should say I didn't draft on purpose that way. Okay, I didn't look for that combination. They were just both the best players available at that time, so
right.
I had to take them. But anyhow, so I want to run through it with you guys, give you my starting lineup, give you a couple players here that I have on my bench. I've got a couple that are injured or out. So
on paper, I mean, this is a very, very strong team. You know,
Yeah, and
I
that's
would have
the
guessed. I would have guessed if you looking at it blindly, I would have said probably 7-3, 6-4 at the worst.
Yeah, and injuries really hurt me this year.
I can see that. With, there's 1, 2, 3 right off the bat. People that you picked up in the first probably 4 rounds, 5 rounds.
Yeah, and the kicker that I've had all year is now injured or.
Hey, he's better than Josh Lambo. Remember, he had a net of 0 after 3 weeks for me.
That's awesome, man. Because at one point. You could say Zerline sitting the bench scored more points than Lambo.
He did in week 1 and 2. Didn't he have a -1 and -1?
Now you know why we don't talk about kickers much on here. Anyhow, so to run through my lineup real quick with you, I've got Russell Wilson as my starting quarterback, Christian McCaffrey, Darrell Williams, DK Metcalf.
Why did you pick up Darrell Williams, though, by the way? Just tell him.
Oh, yeah. The reason I picked up Darrell Williams is because Clyde Edwards-Helaire was put on IR. So he will be coming back pretty soon. So I'm going to have a decision to make there.
Well, we both kind of like going forward Darrell Williams better than Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
I do. I just have both options in case the pendulum swings one way or the other.
So you can see, if you're looking at it, those first 3 guys he mentioned, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Russell Wilson, and McCaffrey, they were injured for a substantial amount of time. So yes, and obviously your first 2 picks were McCaffrey and CEH. So
right.
Whenever your top 2 picks go down, you're pretty much screwed. So
and DK Metcalf was my 3rd pick because I went quarterback, running back, wide receiver the first 3 picks, and he is actually questionable this week. so far so good.
I don't think you got anything to worry about though. I don't think it's a serious injury. He should be back. Probably
not. But then I've also got Marvin Jones Jr., who I expected more out of this year. I didn't expect him to light the world on fire, but I figured he'd be serviceable.
Well, he is the number 1 target getter right now.
He's
although
not,
Dan Arnold is really coming on strong.
He's not yardage-wise, he's not doing a lot, but he's getting a lot of looks. So that team's just got to figure it out.
Now, how many of those are quality looks is a different story because Trevor Lawrence really made some really, really bad throws.
That's what I said. When that offense gets it together, then we'll know more about.
We'll know much more if Marvin Jones, what type of role he's going to have.
But at this point, I've got to use him. I've got too many other things going on in my team, so I've got to use him.
He's not a bad option for a wide receiver too. Yeah.
And I've also got how do you say his name?
Uzomah. CJ Uzomah.
CJ Uzomah. We argued about this on a Sunday one time, so I'm not going there. He's an English major. I give it to him.
I think it's Uzomah. I'm not 100% sure, but
Great.
You were saying something like Ushimata or whatever, so kind of like that TJ Ushimama commercial.
Yeah, so anyway, I've got him as a tight end, but I've also got Noah Fant, of course, as my normal tight end. He's on a bye this week, so who's your mama or Uzomama?
Uzomah. Uzomah.
Who's your mama? Who's a mama?
He's your mama, okay? And then the next guy we really, really like this year, we're both high on. Who is it?
Michael Pittman. Junior, that is.
Junior.
Not the second. Junior.
You know what? I put Michael Pittman the second in my start and sit.
Yeah.
I think this week when I updated it, so and he got after me. It's Junior. It's the same thing.
Yeah, all right. So anyway.
And I really like him. I would probably. I mean, not that it really makes a difference, but I would put Michael Pittman in as a second receiver behind Metcalf, put Jones in as a flex.
Well, and
Points don't matter though.
Yeah, to me it doesn't matter. I just look for ways that I can be more flexible. If I have to move a running back into my flex position, I don't have as many moves to make, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really matter to me. But so Michael Pittman, awesome receiver last year, but kind of under the radar of everybody.
Yeah. Well, he's a rookie, and I think the fact he would have been more talked about if Justin Jefferson didn't have that huge breakout rookie year.
Well, I got an inside tip on him last year from a guy that I had on the show and I talked to, and he's like, it was like mid-season. He's like, watch out for Michael Pittman. He's going to be a good ball player. So I kept my eye on him, and this year I drafted him. So
he must be a college football fan like me, and he saw him play at University of Southern California.
That could be. Or he could just know a good football player when he sees one.
Yes, that's true.
That could be it, too. Moving on with my lineup.
And I was following him, too, in college because his dad played for the Cardinals, Michael Pittman, remember, the running back. So
yeah,
I was a big fan of his.
Michael Pitt, man.
All right, let's move on, okay?
All right. So my defense, Steelers defense, I'm not really doing anything with that. It's a defense. They're middle of the road, so they're not hurting me, and they're not winning tons of games for me. They're not.
Again, it's a
me,
defense.
So, yeah,
right. It's a defense.
So my kicker, the kicker that I had last week was Young Ho Koo, which netted me 3 total points. Awesome. In a blowout game of 43-3.
Yeah. I mean, his accuracy is, second to none, but if they're not getting him in position,
it's getting good attempts.
I thought it was nuts early on in the game when they went for it instead of kick the 50-yard field goal. He could have made that easily.
That would have changed the momentum.
And it was good weather, too. And they're in a dome, so you don't have to worry about wind. Come on, man.
That was not a good call. But
no.
Aggressive, I get it, but not a good call. Anyhow, normally I have Greg Zuerlein as my kicker, but he's out he's on the COVID-19 reserve list, so...
He should be able to be back next week, hopefully. He's not back this week. But, he's ruled out as of right now. So
yeah, so I have a feeling, I don't know this to be a fact, but I have a feeling that he probably wasn't vaccinated, and he's probably got more protocol.
I wonder if he was immunized like Aaron Rodgers, though.
He might have been.
I bet he
was. Maybe
was.
even inoculated.
Maybe he was taking like some equine medicine like Aaron Rodgers there.
So anyway, I don't have anything to do with my kickers anymore. Once Zuerlein's healthy, I'm going to move him back up and probably drop Koo. So on my bench, I've got Noah Fant, of course, everybody's favorite. Well, my favorite. I've got 2 quarterbacks in reserve here, and I've got Carson Wentz and I've got Joe Burrow. So what I'm doing is I've got Clyde Edwards-Helaire still on IR. Once he's off of IR, one of those 2 will probably get dropped, or I have a couple other options too. Devonta Freeman might be someone I can drop too, but it gives me a little bit more flexibility with those 2 quarterbacks. Trade deadline's coming up on this league, so I probably won't be able to make a trade on it, but maybe something under the wire. Who knows? Then I've got Zach Moss as a backup running back, and of course Devonta Freeman as a backup running back also. So my bench is okay. I wouldn't say it's real deep. It's probably going to get shallow pretty quick here. But there's some free agents out there, or maybe, like I said, maybe an under the wire trade.
When is Russell Wilson's bye? Do you know offhand? Let's just click to see.
It is. They already had their bye.
Oh, they did.
They did. They had their bye already. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, because they came off a bye. Was his first. Yeah, so it was week before last.
Okay. Now, for me, do you mind if I make a couple suggestions?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay. First of all, Fant. I would assume you're going to drop Uzomah after this week, rather than hold 2 tight ends because Fant's bye will be over. I'm never a big fan of holding 3 quarterbacks. In fact, in my Yahoo league where I have Lamar, I had Wentz as well. I still have him because my waiver priority didn't kick in, but I'm good with holding one quarterback after the bye is done. Two maybe, but three, I think you're just wasting a roster spot there. You really need to build that depth of receiver and running back. Do you think you would consider that for Fant? Like maybe dropping Uzuma after Fant's bye's over? Because I think we both agree he's a much better receiving tight end than Uzuma.
Well, here's what I was looking at. So
Okay.
I've got Wentz and I've got Burrow. So once I figure out which one is going to be my backup quarterback, I'll drop one of them, drop or trade one of them, and then Clyde Edwards-Helaire will be coming off of IR. He'll take that roster spot.
Okay.
I still have Devonta Freeman as leeway, and if I need to, I can go another tight end. My concern is Noah Fant's been. We talked about this before the show. Noah Fant's been not consistently good, but he's been pretty good.
He has.
Uzuma's becoming part of the offense more and more there. So again, I need to either keep both of those or drop one of them and pick up somebody else. So
And that kind of works in with the quarterback because whichever one you play as a backup, you're going to have the quarterback receiver combo
right
with Wentz and Pittman, or you're going to have Burrow and Uzuma.
right.
So all three of your quarterbacks, you have the combo regardless.
Right.
So
Yeah. And as much as I don't like that, I again, quality quarterbacks, quality wide receivers. So,
Yeah.
you can't really say no.
personally,
You know?
I like Wentz over Burrow, and I think I'm high on Wentz. In fact, he's my backup to Lamar right now, and I actually played him. Remember 2 weeks ago over Lamar. Won the game.
Coincidentally, that's the same week that Burrow blew up too.
It is,
So-
and you had him on sit, didn't
And
you?
yeah.
yeah.
Well, I think I started Wentz that week because I didn't have.
You
Wilson.
did, but no, I'm talking our start sit. You had.
Yeah.
Burrow was in his start sit and
Yeah,
scored
yeah.
40 or 38, something like that.
Yeah, but he was blowing up at the time, so I held on to him to
Yeah.
figure out whether he or Wentz is going to be better. I have favored Wentz since the beginning of the season. I liked Burrow last year. I wasn't big on him this year, so he'll probably be the one that goes, but depends on who's a better.
I think he's come back really strong. I mean, he didn't play a majority of the last year with that injury. I
Mhm.
mean,
Yep.
but I think, he's really impressed me.
But it gives me.
Much like Noah Fant, he's very inconsistent. He'll have a huge week and then have a couple down weeks.
Yeah. Well, I've got a lot of leeway in my bench right now. It's just really how I use it. The biggest key for me from this point on, and I know that none of the guys that I am on this league with listen to the show or watch the show, so I can say this freely. The thing is, for me, the real key is going to be how I pick up free agents, how I identify free agents at
Okay.
this point. Because, like I said, the trade deadline is coming. I believe it's the end of this week, so I probably won't get anything traded this week. So it's going to be basically a who's who of the waiver wire. So I have to keep my eye on that. I've got some things that I'm looking at right now that I don't really want to talk about because they may sound ridiculous at this point. I don't know, but so I do have some leeway. I can navigate through the season and be able to.
I think you'll be fine. You'll be perfect once the bye weeks are over. I'm a little concerned about the depth right now, but the depth is pretty much to fill in for the bye weeks.
Right. Yeah, I kind of backed myself into a corner on this league, and the reason that I backed myself into a corner is because of all my injuries that I had. So I had to start pulling players. Now that being
and
said,
that sends you into panic mode a lot of the times.
Yeah.
I've been in that boat, and
well, and on this league, I have $100 free agency budget, right?
okay,
Or fab.
what do you have left?
I have actually quite a bit left.
Okay.
I've been relatively frugal with it. There's a way around the way ESPN does it, and that's to wait till after after Thursday, and you can pick up most guys' free agents.
So $35 is a lot left for, and we're coming on week 11, so that's quite a bit.
It's a fair amount. It's not.
I mean, that would be one player. If a good running back goes down, that would be at least the cost of a backup running back.
Yep. So we'll see. But again, I want to hear from you guys. I want you guys to tell me what you think I should do with my team. If you need to rewind and watch this again, feel free to do so. Also, and while you're doing that, like, subscribe, and share our video. Okay, throw that in there right in the middle
Absolutely.
of the show. But yeah, definitely do that. But give us some feedback. Tell me what you think I should do with my team, and give me some pointers, and we'll see how it comes out. We'll follow back up with it.
Absolutely. And I'm going to throw out a couple free agent names for you guys. What do you think? If any of these guys should be at? Oh my God.
Don't forget that for right now.
Okay.
Forget that for right now. that was explained in early. Don't look at that.
There's some guys that are pretty good studs that are still on the waiver wire, so
Yeah.
I won't get into that then. But yeah, let us know what you think Allen's should do. Give him some advice on the team. What do you like? What do you dislike?
Hey, sharing is caring.
Yes.
Tell me what you guys think. All right. All right. So let's talk about our bet predictions for this week.
Okay. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go? I got 2 games.
I want you to go first.
Okay. All right. Now, we both thought Dallas and Atlanta would be a high-scoring game. Over-under was 54.5 last week. It was a very high-scoring game for Dallas, who scored 43, yet somehow they still failed to hit the under for 54.5. This week, we really like Dallas and KC. Over 56. Now, that's a big number for an NFL game. Okay, that's more of like a college line you're looking at.
That's a low-end college line.
That's a low-end college line for a lot of games. Dallas, we've seen their offense really come on the last couple weeks. Dak's got multiple weapons. He's not just throwing to Amari. He's not just throwing to CeeDee Lamb. Zeke's starting to get in the end zone more, so I think they're going to score a lot of points. And we saw what KC did on Sunday night. That offense really is clicking right now, even though they did look kind of weak in the last couple weeks. But we love the over 56. And that's a 325 game, I believe, on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
The second game, Seattle, in fact, it was +2. They were 2-point underdogs. From the time we started recording, it actually moved to 2.5.
Yeah.
So it went up a half point. So they're at home, okay, home of the 12th man. Now, even though it is my Arizona Cardinals, who I still think are one of the best teams in the NFL, Seattle is a tough place to win, okay? It's the home of the 12th man. I think it's the loudest stadium in the NFL. Chiefs fans would maybe argue that. But I like Seattle at home, or we like Seattle at home, not only getting the +2.5, but to win outright. And last week we had a really, really big prediction. Detroit was going to get their first win. Remember, 9.5-point underdogs against Pittsburgh, and they couldn't figure out how to win the game. So, but we got a push on that. But
yeah, it was. Man, don't get me started on that again.
And I think you got 2 picks too for us, don't you?
I do. So my bet prediction this week is Atlanta +7. I think they're going to cover that spread.
And that's tomorrow night's game you're talking, right?
It is. It is. Yep. And the over/under on that is 47, and I'm going with the over on that. And why is that a bet prediction? Did you see the score of the last Atlanta game? Now you know.
Well, they lost by 40, and New England won by 38. So
kind of bent. I'm surprised that's only +7.
It's in Atlanta. If it was in New England, that might be a 13-point line. Because you got a 6-point swing there, pretty much for the home game. So.
Yep. All right, so that is our bet predictions. Once again, want to remind you guys on the video down below. Like, share, and subscribe. Give us your feedback. We'd love to hear from you guys, good, bad, or indifferent. We don't care. Also, check out the website. It's bentonfootball.godaddysite.com. Check it out. It's bent on football in correlation with the show.
And we usually have our start sets up there by Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you guys need some advice on start sit, now, we'll post the results from the previous week as well.
Yep. And also on that website, you can get on Sunday mornings, I post up the active, inactive list for all the noon games and the 3 o'clock games. So check it out. If you got a player that's in doubt, I get it just as soon as it's updated, and it's the most current information at that point. So Check it out. Also, if you want to give us some feedback, not on YouTube, you can tell us or send us an email at bentffb@gmail.com, and we'd love to hear your feedback once again. So,
Yeah, and we may have something. We may do the show a little differently next week. We got to figure that out, but we'll keep you guys posted.
So what we'll do is keep an eye on Facebook. Keep an eye keep an eye out for a promo that we're gonna do. It may be this week. We're gonna kind of try to put some things together, but we got some cool stuff planned. I'm gonna have a lot of fun with it. So keep an eye on it. And we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Anything else you got for him?
I don't. Oh, LA Rams and Denver are on bye this week. That's it.
Oh, perfect. Well, that made the show just totally complete. So you guys and Josh get bent
On fantasy football.